But what people have said is they said you were quite outspoken. I'll play it to you. This is what you said when Dave Rubin pivoted.
This is the Dave Rubin clip.
Let's have a look.
There has been this prevalence of prominent figures who identify as the left, right, or on the left, who then later start to, cozy up to right-wing figures, and then it turns out that they completely move to the right wing because they're essentially paid to do it. They're used as tools by the right wing to essentially spew right-wing talking points while purporting to still be on the left. In fact, Dave Rubin's a great example of that. Dave Rubin used to work with us. He identified as someone on the left.
So, I mean, have you pulled a Rubin, as some people suggest?
I mean, I'm still pretty left-wing, and I'm still working at the exact same place. Look, I don't know. Maybe I was wrong about Dave Rubin, but I just felt that...
What?
Maybe
we both said the same thing. Maybe I was wrong about Rave Dubin? Are you kidding me? Gavin, I would be down to just go ahead and plow right into this. I can't believe we've waited so long to get to this. We were obviously going to, what was it, like a day before we went on our Thanksgiving vacation, Gavin. We didn't really go anywhere, but we took a few days off to see the family and recharge. And Anna Kasparian, of all people, goes on, Piers Morgan to condemn Hamas. No, that's not what they talk about. They talk about the real enemy, and that's the left flank of this country, the Democrats. They made a deal with the devil, Gavin.
Yep, absolutely. Let's start with this one since you brought it up, Zach. As you said, Anna's analysis is that the Democrats made a deal with the devil, I guess, and the devil being the left. Well, thanks for your novel analysis. Jesus Christ. I might as well just turn on MSNBC, right? Let's take a listen.
Yeah, some right-leaning CNN contributors would be ruffled by the analysis.
Yeah.
This is a small but incredibly loud and influential faction of the Democratic Party. This is not indicative of all Democrats. This is not indicative of all Democratic lawmakers. This is a small group of activists who like to bully, who like to go to city council meetings, who like to go to various rallies and essentially be loud, be threatening, be aggressive until they get their way. And that's
literally activism.
The Democratic Party has been terrified of these little mobs of people, these little mobs of activists, and have basically just carried out what these activists want. And I just think that they need to be a little smarter than...
Yeah, the Democratic Party is just a vessel for the activist left to get what we want. Are you kidding me? What the fuck have they given us? What the fuck has the Democratic Party given the activist left? They have not given us anything.
Also, Anna used to consider herself amongst the activist left. She used to consider herself a progressive, right? Now she doesn't even consider herself a Democrat, and it's not because she's thinking about the Green Party, right? Like, we got a comment the other day that was like, you guys have been misrepresenting Anna's argument. She left the Democrats because she was so wounded by their foreign policy. And I was like, no, she used that as a convenient cover. Okay, that's why she didn't have Claudia de la Cruz on. That's why she didn't have Cornel West on. That's why she didn't have Jill Stein on. That's why she didn't have a single anti-genocide candidate. Did you have the uncommitted movement on the Young Turks? No, you didn't. Okay, so I don't really want to hear from you, because what you're doing is you are shuffling people to the right. You are being like, the Democratic Party left me because of this radical blue-haired activist left.
100%. 100%. Let's finish this out.
Carried out what these activists want. And I just think that they need to be a little smarter than falling prey to the whims of various activist groups, because they are not representative of the majority of Americans.
So there's so much to say about this, and we've already said a lot. The clip wasn't even over, and we already had a lot to say about it. But Jesus Christ, bro. It's like, for one, the Republicans did the exact opposite. Their strategy in the Trump era has been to do pretty much the exact opposite. They're a servant to their activist base. That's how Roe v. Wade got overturned, despite the fact that it lost them the midterms and was a big albatross in 2024. Yeah, they got elected in 2016 by giving the pro-life base a huge gift. They promised them the overturning of Roe v. Wade, essentially, and they delivered. Same with a bunch of other issues. How in touch is the Republican Party with the activist right? Incredibly in touch. Why do you think all these moms for liberty or whatever have such a direct influence over the actual policy and cultural tone of Republican elites? They have enormous influence. That's why all these talking points about groomers and trans people and all this culture war crap is constantly elevated by people high up in the Republican Party because they're no longer afraid of their base and they realize that it's actually very potent, as a way to motivate said base to lead into the issues they care about. So Anna's basically telling the Democrats to do the exact opposite of what the Republicans just successfully did to win an election and solidify the political era as their own. Again, not by spitting in the face of the activist right, but by embracing and elevating them almost at every turn.
What the best part of this, guys, don't go anywhere because we've got another lengthy moment queued up for you guys. Piers Morgan, he's glorious, man. I hate everything that comes out of his mouth politically, but what I love about the guy is he's a cheeky son of a bitch, man. He knows how to make spicy content. That man knows how to create engaging content, and he knows how to adapt to the 21st century. He understands media in 2024, and you've got to tip your hat to him. He makes Anna Kasparian argue with Anna Kasparian to her face live on his show, and it's absolutely spectacular.
But what people have said is they said you were quite outspoken. I'll play it to you. This is what you said when Dave RUBIN pivoted.
This is the Dave RUBIN clip.
Let's have a look.
There has been this prevalence of prominent figures who identify as the left, right, or on the left, who then later start to, cozy up to right-wing figures. And then it turns out that they completely move to the right wing because they're essentially paid to do it. They're used as tools by the right wing to essentially spew right-wing talking points while purporting to still be on the left. In fact, Dave Rubin's a great example of that. Dave Rubin used to work with us. He identified as someone on the left.
Dave.
Yeah, go ahead.
Forgive me, Anna. Dave Rubin.
Whoa, how humiliating, how piping hot, how scorching. He plays that for her to react to on his show, and he's like, we've been quite rude to people like my friend Dave. What have you got to say for yourself?
Made a video for PragerU, why I left the left.
Oh, I know.
He does not, in fact, state to the world that he's still on the left. I don't know who you have in mind, so I can only address the one name that you gave.
So, have you pulled a Rubin, as some people suggest?
I'm still pretty left-wing, and I'm still working at the exact same place. Look, I don't know. Maybe I was wrong about Dave Rubin, but I just felt that.
What?
Maybe
we both said the same thing. Maybe I was wrong about Rave Dubin. Are you kidding me? A Daily Wire contributor, Rave Dubin?
Oh, how embarrassing. Isn't it Blaze TV?
Oh, sorry, Blaze TV. I thought that he was Daily Wire, but maybe not.
No, Ben Shapiro would never hire a.
Oh, that's right, because he said he wouldn't even go to his wedding because it was against his belief system.
Yeah.
That's right. But I thought they were friends. Or I thought that he considered him
as close friends as you can be with a gay man if you're Ben Shapiro, I guess.
Fair enough, yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy to say maybe Dave Rubin was right. Oh God, Anna, come on. This is the worst, man. If you're gonna do what you're doing, you have to at least have some principles. You have to at least be like, no, of course, no. Everything I said about Dave Rubin is still 100% correct. I am not doing that. This is something completely. No, you can't give credit to Dave Rubin. You can't renege on your commentary in regard to his grift. What?
Yeah, let's play this one more time.
Because it's inconvenient and obviously indicates what you're also doing. Oh my God.
She was caught red-handed with her pants down. I want everybody to see the look in her eyes when he asks her this. She goes from this smile to blank. She's like preparing for the question after she watches the clip.
As some people suggest?
I'm still pretty left-wing, and I'm still working at the exact same place. Look, I don't know. Maybe I was wrong about Dave Rubin, but I just felt that first of all, after he left TYT, he did lie about us, and that bothered me because we were still friends, and I didn't understand what was going on. So I was discombobulated about what was happening with Dave after he left TYT. He did leave on good terms, so it was weird. And, he kept saying that he was this classical liberal, but had trouble defining what that meant and had trouble reinforcing or at least backing up some of the claims that he was making about.
And it's like, that's why I call myself unaligned, because you don't have to define that. It's just a meaningless word that basically suggests I have no principles, values, or really even any idea what's going on. I'm just floating out in the sea like flotsam. Like what the
I'm a reflection of the zeitgeist of the time.
yeah.
His newfound identity. So look, live and let live. Dave is doing his thing. I did feel that his pivot was strange, but maybe it was sincere. Who knows?
Well, it's interesting. Somebody accused me of being a Republican. It was Brian Tyler Cohen, I think. He said, "You're obviously a Republican." Or Wajah Ali was one of them. And I said, "Look, I'm not a Republican.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure you vote in England.
I'm somebody who identifies as liberal, but who has increasingly felt in recent years that I have absolutely nothing in common with modern day far left woke supposed liberals whose whole behavioral pattern is
You're not a child.
I thought we got YouTube Premium.
I did too. But
You're a
it must
man.
not be
So stop
logged in
wearing
under
so many
mine.
layers to go outside and get the bare.
not remotely liberal. It's
You can always, by the way, you can just hit this to go back for like 5 seconds.
Oh,
that way you
that's
don't go back like 30 seconds accidentally.
too far. Yeah, sorry. Guys.
It's all good.
I don't think that's working for me.
You have to click the.
nothing in.
Oh,
It's
perfect.
actually a form of modern day fascism, which is incredibly ironic, given that they would say fascism is the one thing they
Woke
hate
is
most in the world.
Which is crazy because he rejects that label so heartily and so intensely when anybody applies it to Donald Trump, but he's so cavalier and brazen with it. He's so heavy-handed with it when it comes to the radical woke mob.
And I feel a bit like Bill Maher and people like that who have become more popular actually to conservatives because they said the same thing. And I'm kind of like that, where I would say I'm probably a centrist now. I don't identify as to the right or conservative, but I have nothing in common with the woke left at all. I find them preposterous people.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. I probably
So embarrassing.
feel similar to you to
Basically,
some.
She's basically realizing in real time that, however much branding she wants to apply to what she's doing, however much of a stank her and Jank want to make about populism and all this crap, right? What she's realizing is that, I'm just Piers Morgan now. I'm just Bill Maher, who Piers Morgan cited a second ago as one of the many people who include Anna Kasparian that have woken up about the woke left. And it's like, you think you're being edgy, you think you're being different, but in reality, you're more a sheep than ever, Anna. You're more part of the herd than you literally ever have been. Because even if it felt like you were in an echo chamber on the left, even if that's what it felt like to you, I've been doing the same thing for so long and I'm tired of saying the same thing every day and it's not working, so I'm gonna go into another echo chamber, a way bigger and more mainstream echo chamber that's also occupied by the worst people alive, the biggest ghouls in corporate media, the people that manufactured consent for like the freaking Iraq war and stuff. Oh yeah, have fun hanging out with those guys. It's crazy. It's like that's where you are though now. You're just one of these Gen X anti-woke people that says, I didn't leave the Democrats left me. The most boring, tired, stale charade you've ever fucking seen. And it's like, yeah, that's where you are. There's nothing original about it. There's nothing edgy about it.
Maybe not as extreme. I don't refer to myself as a centrist per se, but I definitely feel far more independent now than I ever have in my life. Because you're right. I mean, you do look at the two dominant political parties in the United States, and I used to identify so strongly with what the Democratic Party represented, but as they have kind of devolved further.
Bill Clinton? Right. What, I really identified with fucking Bill Clinton and third way Democratic politics? Like, what are you talking about, bro? At no point in my entire life have the Democrats been at all good or relatable. And you've been alive a little bit longer than me. So I'm sorry, but at what point in your life did you relate to the Democrats? Under Obama? Like, I don't get this.
When Barack Obama told the protesters in Ferguson to go fuck themselves and pick up their pants, boy, that really spoke to Anna Kasparian.
And further down this like rabbit hole of maximalist policies for like very specific groups of people. And that's the other thing. I'm just so tired of constantly focusing on how our identities or our race, our gender, our sexual orientation, how different that makes us from one another. No, you're a working class American. you've got a lot more in common with an Asian working class American, a transgender working class American, you know, a gay working class American than
Trump
you do
understood, isn't
with a black person who was chosen to be the head of a, you know, major Fortune 500 company. I probably have less in common with that woman than I would with a working class American from a different background.
Yes.
Or a white woman who's a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I have less in common with her.
Or a white woman, or a white woman. Trust me, I'm not saying that. Yeah. Oh my God.
And she's just creating fucking sound bites for the MAGA movement to be like, look at this person who claims to be a progressive, but they know how deranged and hysterical that even Kamala Harris, she was too woke. She was too far to the crazy radical left.
Yeah. And it's like, and she also cites that the Democrats, they keep, they keep doing maximalist policy for minority groups. Was that it? Something like that. Like they keep doing maximalist handouts to small minorities, something along those lines. Wouldn't you use that terminology to describe the tax cut that Donald Trump passed for the top 1% the last time he was in power? Because that's a minority, you know, the 1%, quite literally. It's very small minority. And a huge tax cut sounds pretty maximalist to me. But Anna doesn't live in the world of reality. She doesn't actually care about policy. To her, she's just talking about Twitter. She's talking about her timeline. She's talking about the annoying leftists that call me out when I say something stupid. That's what she's talking about, and pretending that the Democrats somehow control that or are responsible.
Yeah. But we can keep playing a little more of this.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably
at
the point where we've seen the majority of from this clip, but there is another clip that I think would be good to react to. Zach, unless there's something you were waiting to.
No, for sure. I know that they get into this a little longer and they play a clip of Cenk for her to react to. But we can skip ahead to whatever you had queued next.
There's nothing about Trump's first term which screamed fascism to me. I felt that persistent attack and he's the new Hitler was just ludicrous.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's insulting for like the Jewish community that, of course, was victimized by Hitler. It kind of downplays or minimizes the severity and the brutality of Hitler and what he can.
That's what we need more of in this country. People don't understand like obviously, unless you're dealing with fringe lunatics like Dan Bilzerian or whoever the host Fresh and Fit, or you know what I'm talking about, those guys, unless you're talking about the actual new neo-Nazis like Jackson Eagle, everybody understands the severity of Hitler and they use it to underscore the severity of the threat of Donald Trump. And yes, when you say shit like immigrants are poisoning the blood of the nation, you kind of liken yourself to Adolf Hitler. I'm sorry, but he was a real guy that actually lived. And when you say shit that sounds like him, it's fair to point it out.
Yep. And also like this stupid pearl clutching. She wants to talk about identity politics and how it's annoying that the left wing does it. But then the first thing out of her mouth is, oh, well, isn't that kind of disrespectful to the Jewish people that were victimized historically by Adolf Hitler? Doesn't that hurt their feelings when you compare Donald Trump to the person that exterminated millions and millions of Jewish people? Like, oh my God, it's so annoying. It's just so tired and boring. Like I said, she is no different than Piers Morgan now. She's basically just making Piers Morgan arguments, but dressed up as like, oh, this is kind of, hip and kind of populist or something. When no one would describe Piers Morgan as a populist. You know what I'm saying? He's like the most kind of just typical establishment bootlicker out there.
Oh yeah, dude, he's fucking British, dude. This guy's loyal to the crown. Are you kidding me? There's no greater societal bootlicker.
Yep. Either way, Zach, do you want to watch any more of this? I think we kind of got the point. We can go on if you want.
There's this clip right here that I think might be worth checking out, just because the tables turn a little bit for old Cenk Uygur, and Anna Kasparian. Typically, it's Cenk that's going out there and explaining and minimizing Anna's right-wing pivot. But after you've watched Cenk over the last few months, really, honestly, the last 1 month since the election, really outwardly pivot his feelings on Donald Trump, it's interesting to get a flashback to the kind of fury that he brought when he was supposedly running for president. So this time, Piers asks Anna to react to a little bit of footage from her co-host, Cenk.
individuals on the left, with the exception of the first assassination attempt against Trump, we still don't know, what motivated that guy, but his politics were all over the place.
Yeah.
But, the second assassination attempt, obviously someone on the left, these threats of violence toward cabinet appointees, it's unacceptable.
It is.
Let's
True.
please.
That was a Nikki Haley voter. The second assassin was not on the left. He was a Nikki Haley voter.
Be smarter than this.
Yeah. I want to end on a lighter note. We started talking about Cenk. I want to end by talking about him very briefly. We have a Cenk mashup to show you.
Oh, what? I'm going to attack you. I'm going to come on. This guy's a fool.
Cenk,
Name
stop
one
talking for a moment.
Palestinian you
Cenk,
find acceptable
stop
to
shouting.
make a peace deal with. You won't
Okay, Cenk.
because you don't want peace. All you want to
Cenk.
do is slaughter more Palestinians. This whole thing is based on a lie. These are vicious, vigilante thugs. And they have done more violence than all of the peace protesters in the country combined. Where are the arrests? Where's the outrage? Where's the indignation? You pretend that you care about protecting students, but you only care about protecting one side. Hey, if someone takes out somebody from with a stretcher, I'll pay the legal bills. Attack people.
And
I just
now-
wondered, Anna, whether you had any advice for me on how to deal with Cenk's obvious anger management issues.
I do have advice for you. Let it go. All right. Let the man talk. Let the man do his thing. Look, I know that for some, he comes across as, too aggressive, a little too animated, but
And I wasn't really interested in watching her praise it, just to see, like, that was the kind of fire and fury that we used to praise Cenk for all the fucking time. On this show, we would say, hey, he's a union buster. Hey, we don't think he's necessarily the best vehicle for the left. But recently, I have been so disappointed because all of that fire and fury that he brought in the montage there, all of the Donald Trump is a fascist, the people who did January 6th tried to steal the election, and they have no credibility to talk about when it comes to democracy, the deep state and, the attacks that we're doing in Gaza are absolutely unacceptable. And now he's going to go ahead and whitewash the image of this guy, all for money, all for clout. Pretty fucking disgusting. And that's that was the last clip that I wanted to react to, because Cenk does have he does have the fire, and now he's going to use it pretty much exclusively for evil.
Yep. Pretty disgusting. Honestly, just shockingly disgusting. One of the worst media appearances I've seen yet from Anna Kasparian. And again, the worst thing is she's not even trying to rep some new form of leftism. Like, I understand making a strategic recalculation after what happened after the re-election of Donald Trump. I get it. Like, people on the left are trying to figure out what to do. And part of that means an autopsy, figuring out what went wrong, and trying to adjust course going forward. So just to reiterate, our criticism is not that Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur don't sound exactly the same as they once did. I get that everyone has everyone has to evolve. Everyone has to do a strategic reconsideration and try to go forward better, stronger, yada, yada, yada. The problem is that's not what they're doing. They have regressed. Now they just sound like Piers Morgan himself when they go on the show, specifically Anna in that clip. But she's literally just making like the Bill Maher argument, the Claire McCaskill argument that I referenced the other day, that actually the Democrats, they're just they're slaves to the activist left. And what they really need to do is appease moderate voters in the suburbs and wealthy white women like me, Anna Kasparian talking, obviously, people who are terrified of crime, basically just run as a Republican, pretend like you hate criminals more than anything and you love cops more than the Republicans. And we're more in favor. I mean, that's what the Democrats did. As I've said a million times, that's what the Democrats did. They ran a whole campaign about, can you believe that Donald Trump allowed ruffians to storm the Capitol and even a police officer lost his life? Can you believe it, Zach?
They raised the Trump flag over the American flag.
Yeah, and they ran the top cop of California, and they ran the author of the crime bill. But Anna's analysis still is just that the left needs to have its face spit in again, harder, juicier. You know what I'm saying? That's what her message is. The Democratic Party needs to listen to their base less. They need to pay less attention to the actual people that make up their base, even though that's exactly what the Republicans did, and it's exactly how they won. But we should do the opposite, even though it's already what we do.
Well,
it's just pathetic.
What they should really be doing is they should be listening to the upper crust of Los Angelinos. Okay, that's what they really need to do. California's best, brightest, and most importantly, fabulously wealthiest.